Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you, student? Our half yearly syllabus has been started. I think you got your syllabus. In paper 1, mathematics paper 1, we have 1I, 1J, 2D, 2E, 3A, 3B. This types of exercise from Impact Math 3. And from Math book 2, we have 3 exercises 19, 22 and 23. So we will start from 1I. Because this is in your syllabus, this is the first exercise. So in 1I, what do we have? It is called, exercise is based on surd. So what is surd? Surd is a form of representation of a number. Suppose this square root of 2. This is a number. If you find its decimal place, then 1.41421356 that. In your calculator, you will get till this one, but it will go on. That means, if we have to find its numerical value, we will not have a fixed value because the rest of the numbers here is unlimited. So we don't know exactly how many numbers are there. If you cut it off, suppose from this one, then if you round it off, then 4 is less than 5. That means you will get, suppose 1.41. So this is a number which is not exactly the value of square root of 2. We need to take some approximate value. And these approximate values, if you use this, suppose if you use it 5 times in 5 operations, then its error will increase step by step. So that means if you use is suppose 2 times, so if you multiply any number by that one, and it will you will add the result with another number. So 2 times its error will be added because these values we didn't take. I want to say square root of 2. Here, if we take these 3 digits, that means 1.41 in 3 significant figures. So it will not represent the exact value of 2. That is why sometimes we keep this term as our answer. So it is our exact value. That means exact value of 2, square root of 2. If we want to represent it in decimal place, we cannot do it exactly. We can represent it approximately. That is why we use this one. In our first monthly, we solved a few maths using Pythagoras theorem. Suppose for this triangle, suppose 1, 2, so square root of this one, suppose x. 12 square and 1 square. Square root of 4 plus 1. Square root of 5. This is a value where if you represent it in decimal form, then you will get an approximate value, but here the exact value. In this sense of calculation, we will get square root of something. So, what is SAR now? Square root of any number, square root of any number which is the simplest form. Simplest form, suppose square root of 8. Is this a SAR? This can be represented in two ways. So now we can divide it into two parts. Square root of 4. Square root of 4. Normally using calculator we get it like this one. This is a form of SAR, exact value of this square root of 2, simplest possible SAR. So what is SAR? Again, think it. Square root of any number, if we make its decimal values, we will not get the exact value. Suppose this one. Okay. Now think, and let me take some questions. Samir Rahman and Rahman, you say that you didn't understand. Let me simplify the calculation. First of all, what is SAR? What is SAR? SAR is a representation of a number. Suppose this square root of 3. This is called SAR. Square root of 3. Square root of 3, if you represent it in decimal place, suppose using the calculator you are finding a number, look, you will get 1.732. 0, something like this. So this is not the exact value. Here you will have some unlimited values that you cannot write in the calculator. So that is why we put it in this place. This is called SAR. Let me solve a few questions. You will get it. Well, question number 8 we solve. Sorry, 1b. Suppose 1b, square root of 12. The question is, write in terms of simple possible SAR. Simple possible SAR. Now, suppose square root of 4 into 3. So, how we divide it? We could write 2 into 6. Here 4 into 3. I didn't write 2 into 6. 2 into 6 is also 12. 4 into 3 is also 12. So why I wrote it here? Because we want a factor of 3 which, if you apply the square root, then that will give you decimal numbers. So 12 by 3, we get 4 question. So 4 multiplied by 3, that is 12. And when we discuss index in our first monthly, look, we discussed this types of theory. Suppose a into b square, it will give you a square b square. That means if you have whole of power, then this index will be distributed by that way. Here we will do square root of 4 into square root of 3. So a square root of 4 we will get 2 and multiplied by square root of 3, 23. This is the answer. So till this answer, we use another term, square root. So what is actually root? Square root, cube root, fourth root, that is root. It is our, that is not our part to find the root, but get us a little bit idea. Suppose tree has root. So what is the difference between the root of the tree and here this root? Here is square root. So square root, this tree, it represents actually 3 to the power of half. Square root. Here, if you have nothing here, then you will write 3 to the power of 1 by 2. If you have here, suppose 3, then you will write 3 to the power 1 by 3. These are the square root and cube root. When we will discuss roots for equation, we will discuss it later elaborately. It is not relevant here 100%, that is why we are discussing a little bit. This square root of 4, we wrote here 2 directly, suppose using calculator. But the philosophy that we are using here, it is actually 2 to the power of 2 inside. So this square root, it will give you to the power of half. Then your first monthly in index we use, if we have power on another power, then two indices will be multiplied each other. So 2 to the power of half, it is actually 2 cuts. So 2 we have any number, it is 2 to the power of 1 or 5 to the power 1, 6 to the power 1. It means actually the number. So that is here 2. We wrote here 2. And here we have a multiplication sign, cross multiplication sign. Here we didn't show that multiplication sign. So what does it mean? That means we don't have multiplication here. Yes, we have multiplication here. It is called dot multiplication. So cross multiplication and dot multiplication, two types of multiplication. In numbers we are using, that means real number theory. Here 2, 3, square root, these are all real number. In real number theory, cross multiplication and this dot multiplication are same. They are different in some other places like vectors and other things, but here it is same. That is why 2 square root of 3. Here you don't need to put the dot sign. Okay. Elaborately, I think I discussed for all students. Few students, if you see any confusing part here, just make two factors or three factors, whatever you need, and then find square root. You will have only one square root, and other numbers will be as a coefficient. Coefficient means a number which is multiplied with the square root. Coefficient is called, this 2 is called the coefficient here. If you have any confusion, ask me the question. I didn't understand what is the full form of surd. 1b2 will be the power of square, the answer. I understand the question. Square root of 12, here 4 times is 3, the power will be distributed. So square root of 4 into square root of 3, square root of 4 is 2, multiplied by the square root of 3. So write it together. I hope this is the answer. Okay. Now let's solve 3 questions. 1c. Few students, you think these are very much difficult. Not difficult, simple calculation. But when I discuss the theory, discuss elaborately all the concepts that we need to solve this kinds of math. And the also use of this math. The words we are using here also. But in calculation, these are very simple. Anyone can do this. Those you can find the factors and the square root of some numbers. Factors and the square root, 2 things you need to know. Okay. Suppose this square root of 27. Square root of 27. So how many factors we have? We have few factors. 1 is a common factor here. 2 is not a factor. 3 is a factor. 9 is a factor, and 27 itself is a factor. So how do we find the factors? Suppose to write 27. Divide 27 by 1, you will get 27. Then divide it by 2. Can you get the factors in integer form? No. By 3, if you divide 27 by 3, you will get 9. And 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, you will get, if you divide it by 9, you will get 3. So, we don't need to show it. So, factors of 27 are 1, 3, 9 and 27 itself. So, inside this one, 27, we have 1 and 27. So, we need those factors. So, 3 times 9. The power will be distributed 3 into the square root of 9. And look here, 3. If we make a square root, we will get some decimal places. So, we don't need it. Here, 9 can be represented as 3 square. We don't need to make more complex. Here, square root, here that is a square. Square root and a square root can, we will get 3 to the power of 1. So, coefficient will be this written as the left side number 3 square root of 3. That is the simplest possible surd. So how many questions we have here? So can we directly write the answer instead of doing the steps? Very important question. Inside the exam, in the exam, you can skip some lines. Not many problem, but when you are solving, then when you are practicing, try to show the steps you are following. Because when you use the concept in your higher study, then sometimes you have to know the steps. Directly in some calculator, scientific calculator, if you write this number, you can directly get the answer. They will give in short form. So then you will miss these steps. Inside the calculator, they use some concept in programming. Some built-in program is given inside the calculator. So when you will be a programmer, then you will need to know these steps. That is why, first of all, this is our new concept. This now we will try to show the steps. In higher class, in 8 or 9, then you can skip it if you want, no problem. But as an elementary knowledge, I think you should show the steps. But in the question, in the exam, if you skip this line, we will not cut any marks for that one. Are you clear? Okay, next. So, I think you can solve the rest of the math of question number 1. How much time we have? Oh, we have time. Okay, I'll give you the rest of the math for homework. I'll give some study note. You will get the rest of the answers, but you will practice it at home. Okay, number 2. Multiply out the brackets and write the expression in terms of the simple possible surd, collecting like terms where possible. Okay, how will solve it? Suppose this one is 21 and then 12 and 2. Square root of 21, first bracket, square root of 12 and then plus 2. So inside the question what they ask, multiply out the brackets, that is the first steps. So square root of 21 and this 12 plus square root of 21, then square root of 2. Now then we need to simplify them. So how we do it? This 21 we can write it as 7 into 3. Here 4 into 3 plus similarly 7 into 3 into square root of 2. Now square root of 7 into 3 square root of 4 into square root of 3. That means we are distributing the powers. That means the indices. Square root of 7, square root of 3, square root of 2. Just distributing the powers. Look, square root of 3 and square root of 3. Square root of 3 into square root of 3. So 3 to the power of half, here 3 to the power of half. So half, 3 to the power half plus half, we know power will be added. So half plus half, this 1, that means 3. These all multiply each other. Then square root of 7 and square root of 3, arrange them. Square root of 4, it is directly we can write it 2. Then here square root of 7, square root of 3 and square root of 2. They are different. Here these two terms you can combine it. So square root of 7 into 3 into 2 plus here, look here, square root of 7 into square root of 3 into square root of 2. They cannot be simplified, but they can rearrange. So here 3 times 2 is 6. Write it as a coefficient of square root of 7, and here 7 times 3 is 21, times 2 is 42. Write it like this one. That is the simple possible search in our answer. In some calculator, if you write this term directly and put the button here equal sign, directly you will get this term. So you can use your calculator to check the answer whether it is right or wrong. But for this types of math, you must show some calculation, because you need to know the steps, how we simplify it. But it is not mandatory that you have to follow each steps what we are I'm writing here. But you need to know as our preliminary knowledge. First of all, in the question they are given, you will multiply them. That means you have to distribute the power using distributive law. You have to break the bracket. That is one part, and it is asked in the question, so you have to do it. And then in simplification, here suppose this square root of 3 and this square root of 3, same thing. So if you want to combine it, then you can arrange them. Directly you can write it from here to this line, these two terms. So it's not problem. It's not a problem here, but you have to break this bracket first, and then this step, and directly you can write this term. Two steps you can make a gap, no problem. But I think if you have the focus to find according to the question, find the answer according to the question, you will get the concept what you need. So you don't need to think about it. But you need to know the basic concept by which we simplify the knowledge about the surds. Here, first question is, what is surd? Square root of any number. Square root of any number is not surd. Square root of any number. If we simplify it, then you will get decimal numbers, unlimited decimal numbers. Then we put the exact thing so that we don't get any problem. So we don't get any problem means we don't have any error. Limited rounding off, it gives you some error. Okay, so to get the exact value, we keep some surd number. I think you will get, you got the concept and solve your question. It will be clear. And more, if you have any more problem, we'll discuss it later. Thank you very much for today. Bye bye.